Hey everyone, 𝗿𝗁𝙒 here, and today I have a really fun tutorial for you. It's where I created 3 different designs using the MoYou London Jurassic Park collection plates. I did use all 4 of them alongside with the China Glaze Jurassic World Dominion collection. That was a mouthful. However, if you do like these kind of videos, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's get started. So for the first design, I decided to go with sandy scales. This is a beautiful nude polish that dries down to a matte finish. I did do 2 coats on a press-on nail, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But I do want to state that the reason for this is because I wanted to kind of give it like the idea of like dirt, because I'm going to place some fossils on top of this. Speaking of fossils, so then I used coconut. It's a creamy custard color, and I felt like this was the perfect color for fossils. So I'm thinking like a dino dig. So that's the idea that I had envisioned for this particular nail. Now, after I pick up the image, I'm going to then take some Scotch tape and just remove the excess images that were around that were picked up by the stamper. And then before I stamp this down on my nail, because this is a matte finish polish, I'm going to use a sticky base coat by 𝘂𝗎ology. Wait about 45 seconds to a minute, and then I can go ahead and place my fossils down onto the nail. Otherwise, your stamp will not actually stick to a matte polish. So for the second nail, I decided to go with Orange Fierce. Now this is a beautiful, sparkly, shimmery orange that is absolutely beautiful in 3 coats. I really did enjoy this. I wanted to add some pop, some brightness to this manicure because there's a lot of greens and neutral tones, so I felt like this was like the perfect match. So then I'm going to use straight up black. This is my favorite black stamping polish of all time. I'm going to go after this 03 plate. Then there's this one particular image that has everything that is what we know about Jurassic Park, from raptor claws to the eyes to Dr. Ian sunglasses, palm trees, the whole works. Now for this image, I'm going to go in with coconut, 𝗖𝗏𝗏, and 𝗂𝗏 𝘍𝗁. Now with the coconut, I mainly wanted to use it for like the fly wings and like the, I guess, reflection in the eyeball of the raptor's eyes. For 𝗖𝗏𝗏, which unfortunately is discontinued, I did put an alternative down in the description box. I mainly wanted to have it for like the yellow eyes to kind of like have this glowing effect. And then I put 𝗂𝗏 𝘍𝗁 in there for the palm trees to kind of give it a nice little contrast and some brightness towards the leaves. And then as you can see, these leaves are a little bit different from the 𝗂𝗏 𝘍𝗁 because they're actually the polish Olive Terroir by China Glaze, because I wanted to kind of give some depth and to kind of blend the pinky olive tone into this manicure so it kind of is cohesive in a way. If you've been on my channel before, you know I love doing stuff like that when it comes to nail art, and I love blending different colors together so they're all kind of like matching, because I'm weird like that. Once my image is completely dried, I can then go ahead and put a layer of sticky base coat on the nail. Make sure that you wait about 45 seconds to a minute depending on your climate situations. You just want to make sure that it is just tacky to the touch so that you can apply your stamp down. Otherwise, all of that hard work will go to waste. Then for the ring finger, I decided to go with liquid leather. This is now becoming my favorite black polish in general. Not just stamping polish, but just black polish in general. I did 2 coats. I don't think I really needed it, but I, love the plumpness to my nails. And then I'm gonna go after this dinosaur image on the 02 plate that has all these cute little dinosaurs. And I'm gonna go in with 𝗂𝗏 𝘍𝗁 because I really wanted that bright green to kind of pop off of the black, and it did its justice. I felt like this was like the right amount of pop to this, because I'm going to then create and place the Jurassic Park logo to go on top of this image. Next, I'll be using the O2 plate for the Jurassic Park logo. I'm going to go ahead and place down my straight up black, scrape, and then roll the stamp so I can pick up the image. For filling it in, I'm going to be using BAM White for the logo of the font that says Jurassic Park. Fireside will be used for the absolute background that's filled in behind the T-Rex, and then 𝗍𝙗𝙗, which is that bright vibrant yellow, that is going to be the one that is going to be the outline around the whole entire logo as you normally see. Once I'm done filling into the image, I'll go ahead and set it to the side, let it completely dry, and then from there I can go ahead and place a sticky base coat when I'm ready to stamp. Make sure that it's tacky, you know, the same thing, wait about a minute, and then from there I'm just going to carefully place down my logo to make sure that it's kind of center stage. And I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely in love with this. So last is the pinky, and I chose Olive Terror. This is a beautiful olive green polish that has a textured finish. It does dry down matte, and it did take me 3 coats to reach full opacity. It has like these little micro beads in there. By the time that you finish with the 3 coats and it dries down, it's supposed to give the look of like dinosaur skin, which I think is a really neat take on this, and I do like how I incorporate it into the manicure to kind of give you the idea of like, ooh, it's a dinosaur manicure, so kind of has that look. Now after all of my stamping is completely dried, I'm going to go in with my smudge-free top coat by Maniology. Mine's just in a Bundle Monster bottle because I just use a refill. And I'm just going to carefully go ahead and apply a thin coat just to make sure that I don't have any smearing or smudging before I put down my regular top coat. Once my smudge free is completely dried, I wait about 15 minutes and then I can go ahead and apply my Super Chic Lacquer or Super Chic Lacquer quick drying top coat. It's however you want to say it, but I love this stuff. It gives this nice glossy, plump, almost gel look, but it's not actually gel. It's just a really nice quick drying thick top coat that I really enjoy. And here I'm just showing you what they look like on the stand all together. They look all cute and pretty, I guess. This is just to give you an idea of what they look like. They're glossy if you want to stay glossy, but for me, I want them matte, so I'm going to mattify these bad boys. The matte coat I'll be using is going to be Essie's Matte About You to give that nice chalkboard-like finish that I absolutely love. Now, I do want to state that before I apply the matte top coat, I did wait about 20 to 25 minutes for my top coat to fully harden and just make sure that it's not having any problems so I don't get any pitting or anything like that. And then from there, that's when I applied my matte top coat. For everyone's sanity, I'm only going to show how I applied the matte top coat to this particular design. In the rest of the video, you will see that the manicures will be finished off with a matte top coat. So I just wanted to give a heads up about that. So for the first polish in the second design, I chose You Should Know Beta. This is a beautiful blue polish that has a blue purplish tone that has like these silver glitters that run throughout it. It does dry down to a textured finish, so I just want to give the heads up on that. It did take me 3 coats to reach full opacity, and I did this on my index and pinky. Now this polish does dry down to a textured finish, and because I want to stamp on top of this, I'm going to go ahead and use my Glisten & Glows glitter grabber. This is a glitter eating top coat where you can actually stamp on this and it doesn't actually cause any shrinking, because some quick drying top coats can do that. So I'm going to be using Jazzercise. This is a nice bright blue stamping polish. However, I will put an alternative down below because this is discontinued. However, I'm going to be using the O2 plate again because I want these DNA strands. Now, I do want to quickly state that before you stamp onto the nail, make sure that the glitter smoother is completely dried. So wait about 20 minutes before you stamp on top of this. And then from there, I'm still not done. So I'm just going to kind of push everything, make sure everybody's flat all around. And then I'm going to go back in with the O1 plate, and I'm going to go after the amber fly guy, and I'm going to go in with the straight up black for the outline, fill in his wings with coconut, and then use Preserve and Amber because, let's be honest, this looks amazing filled in with that amber tone because it glitters. Now, once that's dried, I then go ahead with my sticky base coat, carefully float the brush over this because you don't want to smear it with the sticky base coat, wait about a minute so it can become tacky, and then you can go ahead and place the amber flag eye down. So for my middle finger, I decided to go with 𝘂𝑟𝑒𝑥 Appeal. This is a cream polish that is mainly a blue, a very, very light blue polish, but it definitely has some gray undertones to it. So it's a great neutral tone, especially if you're going to be adding some bright colors on top of it, and which what I was planning on doing. So I went ahead and applied 3 coats because I didn't apply the second coat fully, or I thought I applied it correctly, but I missed a spot. And then I went in with my O2 plate, and I'm going to go back in again with Jazzercise after the same DNA image because I'm going to stamp this down, press all the sides, make sure everything is down, and then I'm going to go in with my O1 plate because I want the little DNA guy for this finger. So I'm not done with my middle finger. I'm going to go after Mr. Little DNA here. I'm going to be using the O1 plate with my straight up black as the outline. From there, I'm going to be using Bam White, Rose Garden, 𝗍𝗏𝗏, and also 𝘂𝗎𝗠 to fill him in. Now, Bam White I'm using for his eyeballs and his mouth, and then the rest of the colors you will see I will kind of just fill in as I go. I will be using an orange stick rather than a nail art brush because of the fact that I really need tiny, tiny precision because these are little tiny small circles. Now, when I get most of his body filled in, what I'm going to do is wait for him to completely dry, apply a sticky base coat, and then wait for it to become tacky. As you can see, there's still black, but what I'm now going to do is just carefully take the orange stick and fill in the rest of the dots and try to make sure that they're in the lines. And bingo, Dino, DNA. So for my ring and thumb, I decided to go with Preserved in Amber because it's this gorgeous glass-like shards that have like this beautiful golden shimmer. It's just so beautiful. It did take me 3 coats to reach full opacity. I'm okay with that. I still love the depth and the dimension of this polish. Now, since I'm going to be doing some stamping, just like 𝑘𝗏𝑒𝐻, I did have to add a glitter smoothing top coat, which I went back in again with my Glisten and Glow to smooth out all of these glass shards because they were very, very bumpy. Some were kind of sticking up. So after I waited about 20 minutes of adding on my glitter smoothing top coat or my glitter grabber, I then went in with my 2 stamping polishes, which were Coconut and Latte, and I'm going to be going after the O4 plate because of the fact that you can actually do a layering technique, and I was going to make these raptor eggs. So I decided to go with the 3 different shades of them, and I'm just gonna kind of like overlap them. Now I'm gonna go back in again with the same orange stick, and I'm just gonna kind of swirl this around because I just want a different effect because eggs can have different tones and colors. So that's what I was going after. Just make sure that when you go to stamp down and you want to do this with any type of layering images, I would say first try it on a silicone mat first, just to kind of get an idea of where you want to put your placement. So for here, I wanted to put 3 eggs down, but I wanted to kind of make them a little bit different in tone and color, as you can see. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with Saddle Up, which is a reddy type brown that will kind of define the lines around which of the eggs. So you can see that they are eggs and they're not just weird looking ovals that are overlapping each other. So I just kind of went in and carefully went in with my detail nail art brush. I will link it down below where you can kind of see I'm just kind of like outlining the different tones, and then from there I'm going to go back in again with Coconut to kind of add some dimension to these eggs and the little spots and whatnot. And then from there, after I'm done with the 3 eggs with that, I'm going to go in with the 𝘂𝗎𝗠 to kind of add the gray tones, because I remember watching Jurassic Park, the eggs had like a little bit of some gray hue to it or gray specks on them, so that's why I added the gray to them. Now, once I'm finished putting on the little specks, I'm gonna go in with my straight up black, and I'm gonna go after this one image on here that looks like it could be like a cracked egg. So it's gonna give the effect that the raptor is hatching. So I'm gonna carefully place this down, and then I'm gonna give it like a couple of minutes so that it can dry, and then I'm going to then apply a bead of the preserved in amber to kind of give it that glowing effect. I wait for that to dry as well, and then I can go ahead and make a tiny little fine line where it would be technically the raptor's eye. Now once everything is completely dried, I'm gonna go back in again with my smudge-free top coat. Make sure that your stamps and everything is absolutely dry so it doesn't smear, not even with this stuff, because sometimes that can happen. But if you give it at least at like 10 minutes and then apply this, you should be fine. Now, once this is dried, I then go back in again with my quick drying top coat by Super Chick Lacquer. You know the drill, I love this stuff, so I'm not gonna go ahead and serenade any further about it. So for the first polish for the last design is going to be Papaya Punch. This is a beautiful macaroni cheese type orange polish that does take 3 coats to reach full opacity. This is from a much older collection from like, I don't know, 2011, so it's a long time ago. However, I do love the color of this. It's bright, it's fun. Spoiler alert, none of the polishes from Jurassic World Dominion are in this design. Next, I'm going to use Storm Cloud, which is a nice dark gray cream stamping polish that I'm going to be using for just the one plate, which is the 01 for this whole entire manicure. I'm going to go after this raptor image, and then I'm going to use Papaya Punch for the eyeball. I'm going to go in with Saddle Up, and this is that amber brown type polish along with the Greyjoy to have like the different skin tone for the contrast against that dark gray. And I'm just going to basically fill in some of these outlines with Saddle Up and just kind of get some definition and some different tones and colors with the brown. And then I'm going to fill in the rest with the Greyjoy. So once the raptor is completely filled in, I set it to the side to completely dry, and then from there, I'm going to go ahead and apply a sticky base coat to my nail. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black stamping polish, the straight up black. I'm going to then remove the 2 side claw marks because raptors only have the 3 claws, and then I'm going to carefully place this down. After that, I'm going to then double stamp my raptor image. Now, I did leave a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. I just went back in with the dark storm cloud color, and then I just kind of like took a detail brush and kind of just put the line in there so you really don't actually see the line anymore. For my middle finger, I decided to go with Dolish Polish's Life Finds a Way. This was from a polish pickup back in February of 2020. Unfortunately, it's not available. However, I did put an alternative that looks very close to this without the flakies by Assert Colors. I will link that down below. It's not affiliated. And this did take 3 coats to reach full opacity. So I wanted to use a latte. It's a caramel brown or a caramel tan color, and this is for the raptor claw, which is going to be the outline of it because I didn't want a really stark contrast with the black. And then I'm going to go in with coconut. I'm going to fill that in. Now, I just want to quickly state that it is probably best if you have 2 or 3 of these monocle stampers on the side where you can just pop them out as each one is drying, so that in that case, you're not wasting time. Now, I'm going to go back and again on the same plate, and I'm going to go after this Clever Girl Girl, but I'm gonna stamp this in straight up black. And I'm gonna use, again, Papaya Punch for that nice pop of color to contrast against the black, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sticky base coat to apply a thin layer over the Dollish Polish color, let it become tacky, and then I'm gonna carefully place my raptor claws in a somewhat like a yin and yang or like a circle motion where one claw is going on one way and the other one is kind of going the opposite way. I know this doesn't make any sense, but once you see it, you'll understand what I'm doing. And then from there, I'm going to then wait, you know, of course everything's dry, and then going to wait and then stamp Clever Girl on top of the raptor's claws, if that makes sense. For my ring finger, I decided to go with It's All Techno by China Glaze. This is from a Trolls collection. Now this is a chartreuse green, light green I should say. It definitely leans more green than yellow. It did take me 3 coats to reach full opacity, but it does give a nice creamy, shiny finish. And I'm gonna go after the image that has the raptor's eye, where he's kind of like hanging out or hiding out and peeking out from the bush. So I'm gonna go in with my straight up black, scrape, roll my stamp, and then from there I'm gonna go ahead and use coconut, as you can see, for the reflection in the eyeball. Greyjoy is gonna be the actual color of the raptor, like just like the same thing that happened on my index finger as you saw. And then from there I'm gonna use sour apple for some of the ferns in the image, because I wanna have a light green that kind of pops off the nail that's a different hue from what the actual base polish is. So once the coconut is dried, I can then go over it with Papaya Punch for the raptor's eye. From there, I'm gonna go and use Pistachio. This is a darker chartreuse yellowy green color that is different from It's All Techno. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to some of the spiky looking fronds, or basically I'm just trying to add some variation. Next then I'm gonna go with Dollish Polish's Life Finds a Way. And this is just to add some definition, again, just to kind of add some sparkle. I added this to the bigger leaves on this image because I kind of want the brown sparkle to kind of pop through. Once I'm done filling in the leaves that I want, I'm going to then set this to the side to dry for about 20 minutes. From there, I can go ahead and put on a sticky base coat until it becomes tacky, and then I'm going to carefully stamp this onto the nail. Now, I do want to state that you want to be really, really careful with this, because I didn't fill in all of the plants for the very fact that I wanted to use the base to have that brighter yellowy tone. So then after everything is done, you just kind of press everything down and then use 100% acetone very carefully around the edge of the nail or even on the press-on as well. After everything is completely dried, I go in with my smudge-free top coat as per usual, making sure everything is nice and clean and there's no smearing. And then from there, I wait for that about 10 minutes to dry, and then I can go in with my regular top coat. used in today's video, I will link down below, but I am curious, what is your favorite manicure out of this trio? For me, unfortunately, I could not pick a favorite because I love all of them equally. However, I am also really interested, did you see the new Jurassic World movie, and what did you think of it? For me, it was a little bit of a miss for me. However, I still enjoyed making these manicures. And if you did watch the full video, don't forget to leave a dinosaur emoji in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I love making nail art, so if you like kind of videos like this, definitely think about joining the Chills crew. And until then, take care and stay chilly.